Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at RipCrypt, which is going to be an RPG, which is going to be set to be able to get people into the RPG game really quickly, be able to just get into the role-playing goodness of the game. And we're going to go down to the table here. I'm just going to show you what comes in this book, how the book's laid out, give you a general idea of how things run in it. I'm not really going to go over the rules of the game at all. Just going to show you a general idea of how this book is laid out, what's in this book, and a general idea of what it's trying to do. And after that, we're going to come back to the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on it. All right, so I wanted to show you RipCrypt here. Now, RipCrypt's going to use 8-sided dice here. It's good if you have some of different colors here, and a directional die too. Now, the character sheets for this game are really nice and compact. You could put them here on the sort of like sheet of paper here, and then if you put a sleeve over top of them, they become dry erase boards, which is really, really cool. The game itself here can be played with a DM. That's the general default to the game here. However, you could also play this DM-less, and you can play this solo. So there's 3 different ways that you can play this. So you have a keeper led, where you have a keeper here, which is the DM, who can run it, and this can play up to 8 players. You can also play, like I said, the player led or the solo. This also works for grids, so you can actually play this with miniatures on a board there, like 5th ed, where you can have give people a better idea of what's happening instead of just doing that mind's eye sort of stuff or that type of narrative. For rolling dice, you're going to play, this is a dice pool game, and you have 2 different things that can happen in the game. You can have ripping and crypting. So ripping is going to happen when you roll a 8. If you roll an 8, you can roll again. If you roll another 8, you get to roll again, and every time you do that is a success. Now, crypting is the opposite. If I roll a 1, and I'm not ripping, then I will roll again, roll a 1, and then I'll get another crypt. So that's going to be your failures or in the game too. You also can roll percentiles. Those are not true percentiles, but the first one's going to be the 10s, and the second one's going to be the 1s. And if you have 2 different colored dice, you can roll them both at the same time. So this would be 28. Hero creation for this is going to be very simple. There's only 4 attributes you really need to remember in this game, and every single one of them is going to start out with 1. You have grit. What grit is going to be for strength, endurance, and attacking in close combat. You have grip. What grip is for leadership, influence, and maintaining morale in combat. You have gait, which is going to be moving, running, shouting, shooting in combat, not shouting, sorry, shooting in combat. And you can have glim. Glim is for reason, intuition, and for the glimcraft stuff, which is going to be like the magic in the system. So as you can see, movement here is going to be controlled by gait. So you're going to look at like gait 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can go up to 4th level. Here's going to be your movement value, and here's going to be your run value. Now, if you're using a grid, each space is 10 feet. So this is going to be 4 spaces that it can move. So that is going to be 40 feet, and then you can run 80 feet if your gate is at 1. But in the max 4, you can run 140 feet or walk 70 feet. So guts, that's going to be your health in the game. Every hero is going to start off with 5 guts. And this is actually going to be equal to the values they have here is what you can have. So you start out with 5, but you're actually going to get one of these bumped up here, which I'll show you in a minute. And you're going to place all these numbers so far on your hero card here. Then you're going to try to figure out your fate. Now your fate is going to up one of your values by 1. You can roll the directional die, or you can pick it. So if you do north, fate of stone, winter, might, and grit, the cold breath of the summit. So you're going to gain 1 for grit on this one. East, fate of spring, grace, gate, the flourishing of the green lowlands. So gain 1 on gate. You also gain these little bonuses down here. Well, that's your bonus for grit. This is bonus for gate. This is going to be your bonus for grip, and this is going to be a bonus for glim. So you're going to pick one of these directions for your fate. Then you're going to get some skills here, and you can see these skills cards here are going to show you can roll a 1d8 and gain a skill here, and there's 4 different skills here. 4 different main skills. You're going to have your grit skills, gate skills, grip skills, and glim skills. Whichever one of them you had bumped up previously, you'll be able to roll twice. So you get 2 in that one. And then you also have this thin glim. So you have glim skills, you have your thin glim, and then you have your reroll failed combat actions. You have push targets in the direction of choice. You have reduced trail difficulty and repair worn weapons. So favor, gust, glow, and repair. And the skills that you gained over here are explained here, and their rank bonuses are explained on here. So like if I have ruin rank 1, so I'm a level 1 for that, I can add 1 damage. At level 2 add 2, level 3 add 3, and level 4 add 4. Here's going to be your gate skills, your grip skills, and then your glim skills and your thin glim skills levels here too. Now, you also get equipment, and right here, depending on your north, east, south, or west is what you're going to roll to get it. So if I'm north, it's going to be a 1d8 gold coins. East, 1d8. So 1d8 means 1 8-sided die. Where south, I'm going to get 2d8, and west, I'll get 2d8. Now over here, starting gear, north will get exploration kit, east will get exploration kit, south will get RipCrypt kit, and west will get craft and wild kit. You also have gear slots here. Heroes can hold up to 12 items and carry up to 4 weapons. And that goes over that. And then you got your turns here. Now the turns in this game are going to go over, and they're going to have 4 main phases to them. You're going to have your fate phase, your action phase, your event phase, and your morale phase. Now your fate phase is going to be where you're going to set up the delve dice and turn counter, trial difficulty, and then roll for fate. Where your action phase is heroes take actions following the fate from north to east, south to west. Now that's going to be basically like initiative. You're going to have your event phase, which is going to be cryptic events eventually unveil encounters and threats. And then you're going to have your moral phase. In combat, the moral phase replaces the event phase. All right, so the fate phase here is going to basically set everything up. You're going to roll for the turn counter, you're going to roll for trial difficulty. Here's the table that's going to show you the difficulty levels for your trial difficulty. Some of the things I recommend in maybe first game, just go ahead and set it to easy trial for the first one, just so people get used to the game. But after that, you can mix it up here. Some of your abilities and skills, and I guess crafting gear, can also influence trial difficulty to help improve conditions for the heroes. You also have roll for fate. Here's the fate table. So basically what this is going to do is it decides who will act first in the action phase. So 1 to 2 is the north, 3 to 4 is east, 5 to 6 is south, and 7 to 8 is west. And then you're going to end this phase. So basically the summary here shows you what you need to do. You're going to do the turn counter, trial counter, and you're going to roll for fate. Then you go into the action phase. The action phase is going to follow the winds of fate for turn order here. You could also do as many free actions as you want, and then you're going to taking your free actions, you can move or run, you can stand up. You could do trial actions. Trial actions test abilities against the environment if that's applicable. And you can choose the ability for the action, confirm the trial difficulty target, adjust the target for edge or drag, and then roll a 1d8 for each ability point to see if you succeed. Some ideas of actions you can do is like climb, hide, jump, recover, reload, and search. All right, so now we're going to go into rival actions. Rival actions are the bigger things here. You can attack, you can break, you can craft, which is your magic in the game. You can shoot, you can rain, you can sway. You decide whether this shows you how your actions succeed. So after rolling dice that meet or exceed the difficulty, success resolve the action. So if I got no successes, the action fails. 1 success, partial success. 2 successes, full succeed. 3 or more, heroic succeed. So you can have your narrative change based on how much you succeed in things. Care and haste, you can do careful action, hasty action, and you have the event pool. For each hasty action, add 1d8 to the event pool. All right, next you have the event phase. This is like the meat here. You're going to gather the event pool, you're going to roll it, and you can look at the event pool results here. An item is found, roll for the item of interest, conditions improve, the difficulty drop by 1, stuff like that in this event pool. Hostile encounters. If hostiles are encountered, the expiration turns end and a new combat turn starts. You're going to flip a coin, or you can roll one of these 8-sided dice. So 4 below is one side and 5 and up is the other. So that will determine who initiates combat. So you could say 4 and below is the monster, 5 and up is the hero. All right, after the combat, you're going to go into the moral phase. You're going to see if you raise the trial difficulty at all. You're going to see for success, the subject has overcome the moral effect, and failure, the subject has lost morale and must roll the 1d8 here. And this will be phased, fatigued, fearful, or frenzied. So phased, the subject is briefly stunned. Fatigued, the subject is exhausted. Fearful, the subject is gripped with fear and may only break, move, or run away. Frenzied, the subject is panicked by the fray. All actions have edge until the effect ends in the morale phase the next turn. Then you go into broken here. So when a group is broken, all surviving components are driven off. At the beginning of the morale phase, if half of either combatant's group has lost morale, is unconscious, or has been killed, the group is driven off. They cannot return or pursue. Combat ends, returning to exploration. In addition, we can do rivalry here at the beginning of each morale phase. If both groups are broken, choose a leader from each group, rival or grip. The group with the least success is driven off. The rival action results in a draw, and the combat continues. And then you're going to go to end phase. So combat for the game. Combat for the game is going to be pretty straightforward. Combat moves fast with dire consequences. Each space again is going to be 10 feet. Here's a movement chart. Here's how you could do your directions. You can move diagonally, or you can move up or down in the game too. You can fly in the game, and there is rules for falling or being knocked down. There's also terrain effects that you can go into in the game, and attacking is going to follow through a simple sequence here, which is going to be like a blow by blow here. Attacker, you're going to look at the grit score. If the grit score is greater than the rival, is the same as the rival, or is less than the rival, or is 2 more than the rival, it's going to matter in this game here. So you're going to do this blow by blow. You're going to do confirm the rival is within reach, compare the grit for target difficulty, adjust, which is going to be the attacker grit score, adjust target for edge and drag, roll a d8, and then you're going to look at how many successes you got. And then here's the rival action chart with easy, normal, tough, or hard. And reach is going to be combat attacks are made with light, modest, and heavy hand weapons against rivals within reach. So you're going to basically look up or down or left or right. Hand weapons used to make diagonal attacks drag. Long weapons can be used without drag. You could do shooting here. Shooting is going to be line of sight. So this is going to be simple line of sight. So you can draw a line from you to your character without having any, you to your opponent here without having anything break line of sight. You're good. If there's partial line of sight, you're going to have cover. And they'll get a bonus there to protect them. And you have your crafting, which is your magic in the game too. So you can cast your spells. And all this stuff's going to be working on a success system here. And you also have to take into account armor, and then this is going to be how you're going to assign damage. And this is going to be what happens when you die. Typically, when you do or have too many die there, you're just going to lose that encounter. So it's also going to go into building sessions here and how different things to train and stuff that you can have in the game can affect it, and very simplified way and really easy to deal with. And really for most players, they just need to read this beginning part for character setup and combat up to about this part of the book. So they just have to read that and they're good. The GM would read up to here and through here to create their own worlds. However, there is going to be a section here that is going to go, and this is the gold and the glory, how they level up and stuff like that. And all those values can go up to 4. And here's some of the things on the gear they can pick up. And there is a session here in the back of the book, but also one of the things that I like here, and this is Glimcraft. This is going to be, if you're going to be doing Glimcraft, you'll have to read this section too. This is all the magic you can do, the Focus Craft, the Fleck Craft, the Fract Craft, all the cool stuff there. Here's where you can get into the monsters here. You can make your own monsters. This helps you out do that, but there's a good list of monsters that you can have in the game also in here. And then towards the end here, you get you can use the Vault of Sorrows as your first session if you want. But that's it. That's going to be what's comes with RipCrypt and a general idea of how it's laid out. Let's go back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts on this game. All right, so that was RipCrypt. Now, I'm not a huge RPG player, but I did enjoy Morkborg, and I really like 40K. And a lot of those things were inspirations for this RPG, and you can tell through that. And I actually think this is probably better than Morkborg. Now, Morkborg is going to be built to be a really quick system there where you generate a character, you have a session, they die. So, whatever. This is also designed, I think, for a lot of one-shots, which I do appreciate a lot. You only can go up to level 4 on any one of these attributes. A lot of times, I think it sort of pushes you to creating new characters for a lot of the different sessions you're going to be doing, just to have a fresh, fun sort of like go for it and just really branch out with your RPG or role-playing prowess in the game here. It's all about the experience in the game, which I really appreciate. And that's the same with Morkborg. It was about the experience. It was about pushing yourself through a game. It wasn't necessarily about, trying to keep your character alive for as long as possible and whatever. This is about being heroic. This is about having fun. This is about doing the right thing in the game, even if your character dies. It's really cool. I really appreciate the different shift. A lot of times when I'm playing RPGs, characters will be very reserved, or they'll only be brave when they know the character's not going to perish or whatnot. This one here really pushes you, and I think that is amazing. I really like the layout of the book. When you're talking about RPGs in general, a lot of times you're going to be reading a book that is like 4 times thicker than this just to get started in playing. And all your players have to read a book that is 4 times thicker than this just to be able to play their first session. This here, they're only going to need to read a small portion of the book. Now, if they're doing the crafting or they're doing the magic in the game, they need to read the additional section down there. But it's still not much. If they read this whole thing isn't that big. So they could go read through all of it. Don't obviously, if you're not the GM in the game, don't read the section for the first play session, obviously, because you don't want to spoil it, which is a good portion of this end of this book here too. So I mean, that cuts that out. Plus, also, if you're not going to be the keeper in the game at all, you don't need to read that keeper section at all. So that cuts another thing out. Really, what I'm looking for in an RPG, if I'm going to be playing it, is it easy to get into? For me, as a casual RPG player, and this is. Also, I could see the argument where the de facto RPG is D&D. So those groups that play D&D really don't like playing anything else. And if they're going to play something else, they normally look for things that are 5th ed compatible or whatnot, or they're looking for things that don't take a large level of effort to be able to get it down to the table and start playing. This is it. This is something that your D&D group could play and easily get into without like a high level of commitment, and see if you like it. Also, if you've never played RPGs and you don't really want to read that giant D&D 5th ed book, but you still want to have a really fun fantasy themed game, this is could be up your alley too. This would be a great introduction to RPGs. This is a great way to get into playing RPGs, and this can actually be your core game. This could be, you get into RPGs, this could be the game that you play. There's a lot you can do in there. You can make up your own monsters. You can use the monsters that are in there. I'm sure more content will come out for this in the future, but really this is your core book. This is what you need to get started. This little thing right here, not a whole lot. Really streamline in character creation, really streamline in maintaining your character, really streamline in the game itself. Also, I really appreciate the fact that you could play this on a board, so you don't have to use that theater of the mind all the time if you don't want to. You can use it. There's nothing stopping you from theater of the mind with this. It just has the ability that you can use a board, which is pretty nice, because instead of having them to visualize in their brain these different monsters or other things or where things are at, you can have them on the board there. You can use that as much or as little as you want too. I also like the fact that this can be played without a keeper or GM or DM. Sorry, you can play this cooperatively without and you could run the NPCs and stuff. You could also play this game as solo. There's not a whole lot of solo RPGs out there, and this is one that can happen. So overall, really great. Really appreciate all the work that was put into this. Even though it seems small, there was probably endless hours of work that went into this, and it shows. Really like it, really highly recommend it, and that's my thoughts on it. Thank you for watching.